Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the final episode of Gen Z General Talk. I'm your host, Tim Rose, a freshman here at Syracuse University, and in order to wrap up this podcast series, I want to bring it back to the beginning. Now, if you remember listening to my first podcast, you'll know that I spoke about the connection between Gen Z and streaming services. Just to recap, one of the main characteristics of Gen Z that I've observed is their regular use of streaming technology, specifically when it comes to watching entertainment. Rather than watching movies at the theaters or television shows during their regularly scheduled time chunk on cable, members of Gen Z instead choose to watch all of their favorite media on streaming platforms such as Netflix. The portability and convenience of these services is what has attracted so much attention from Gen Z. Obviously, the cultural impact that streaming technology has had on our society is something to marvel at. But there's something else here that is just below the surface that has piqued my interest even more. Although Gen Z can be linked directly to streaming services, I think that it is far more interesting to observe how this streaming technology has exemplified even deeper traits of Generation Z, such as an appreciation for passionate creativity and an impatience for unoriginal and untimely ideas. First, I want to further explore the impact that streaming services have had on the world. Let's start with Netflix, which is arguably the biggest streaming service out there. Netflix started out as a movie rental company, much like Blockbuster. But in 2007, Netflix released its own online streaming subscription service, and people were instantly hooked. According to Statista.com, by the end of 2008, Netflix had 9.4 million subscribers. Now, in 2019, Netflix has around 158 million subscribers, according to that same website. People love the idea of instant video anytime, anywhere, for just a few bucks a month. And the fact that they were able to boost their subscriber bases by about 148 million in just over 10 years is a testament to how popular streaming technology has become in today's day and age. Other companies have followed suit, with 10 million people having subscribed to Disney's new service, Disney Plus, much in thanks to the new content created specifically for that service, such as The Mandalorian, which hits a personal favorite of mine. But back to the main point. There are so many streaming services nowadays that we are literally caught in the middle of what is being called streaming wars. Analyst Mark Mahaney says it best when he says,
Speak to the contrarian on Netflix, because obviously there's been lots of concern with the rollout plans later this fall of Apple Plus, perhaps even more importantly, Disney Plus, HBO Max. Yesterday, NBC Universal, Comcast, our parent company, announced the Peacock streaming service. What kind of competition, what does that mean to Netflix long term?
Well, I think what it tells you is that there's a huge market for streaming, and Disney agrees, and Apple agrees, and Time Warner, and everybody else is launching a service. There's one global leader here. Only one company has 150 million paid subs. This is a scale business. Whoever has the most subs can afford to spend $500 million easily, or most easily.
And you don't believe, I don't want to say it's zero sum, but how big can you grow the pie in this instance?
Well, we've done a lot of survey work over the last year and a half. We think that 2/3 of people, of internet users, would purchase at least two streaming services. And just put all this in context. You could subscribe to Netflix, Apple, and Disney and spend $21 a month. You try to go out to a movie theater in Manhattan for less than $21 a month, you can't do it. It's still a very compelling value proposition.
Now, if that wasn't enough to show you how popular they are, recent attendance at movie theaters will be. According to The Verge, domestic movie theater attendance hit a 25-year low in 2017, selling only 1.24 billion tickets in the year, which is a drop of 5.8% from the previous year. Much of this deadline can be contributed to streaming services, as the larger variety of entertainment options coupled with the convenience is what is so enticing to people. And no generation enjoys these benefits as much as Gen Z does. CNBC reported that 48% of Gen Z stated that they watch their favorite programs on streaming platforms more than on cable. Our generation is constantly locked into this form of entertainment, and it's easy to see how our experiences with these services affect our lives. One of the main things that brings friends together in our generation is sharing what our new favorite show on Netflix is. And the phrase Netflix and chill has been trademarked by our generation. And characters from Disney Plus shows are central figures in memes now shared between high school and college students. I mean, the evidence goes on and on. It blows me away how much streaming services have integrated themselves into our lives. Their influence can really be seen everywhere, and they are without a doubt one of the most unifying things among our generation. However, these services aren't always something that Gen Zers can latch onto. And now this is where Blockbuster Video comes into the picture. Now, as a recap from my last podcast, Blockbuster made a pretty stupid decision. So Netflix originally approached Blockbuster with their idea for a streaming platform, but Blockbuster pushed Netflix away. Years later, Netflix launched the service, which immediately took off. Blockbuster realized that they screwed up hard and decided to release their own service. Unfortunately, a mix of poor financial decisions on the company's behalf and lack of interest from the general public led to the services and the company's downfall. But why didn't Gen Z cling on to this service until its last moments, you might ask? I mean, it was a streaming service, right? So why did it fail when that is seemingly all we want in life? Well, while Blockbuster had the right idea, what really brought it to its knees was its poor timing. Because Gen Z is used to living in a world where technology is changing faster than ever, and innovation is a seemingly daily occurrence, companies need to keep up with their competitors or risk collapse. This is exactly what happened to Blockbuster. They realized their mistake just a bit too late and fell behind bigger competitors like Netflix when it came to new and exciting content. And in the world where Generation Z dominates the media market, there's no mercy for those who fall behind. This just goes to show how important it is to appeal to Gen Z's technological needs, as this is an essential aspect to a successful media business. Okay, now that I've broken down all of this streaming history, it's time to explain how it all exemplifies some of the most defining characteristics of Gen Z. Streaming technology as a whole represents innovation and creativity at its finest. It's a relatively simple idea, but it's one that brings unexpected simplicity to a sometimes complicated problem of attempting to watch what you want when you want to watch it. In a generation that exudes creative energy, we appreciate when someone presents an honest solution that makes life more convenient, especially one like streaming technology that makes us feel more self-sufficient. The fact that we latched on so quickly to this innovation shows how we value reliability, convenience, and creative problem solving. Conversely, Blockbuster streaming shows a darker side to Gen Z. Its sudden failure is a prime example of how cutthroat of a generation we are. You know how I mentioned literally 10 seconds ago that Gen Z values creativity and thoughtful problem solving? Well, Gen Z is also going to tear you apart if that problem solving is completely mistimed. When we find something that we connect with and enjoy, we then proceed to completely reject any copycat project that fails to introduce anything new. That's why Blockbuster failed. They were unsuccessful with introducing anything new with their service, and since people had already connected so strongly with Netflix, Blockbuster served no purpose for them, resulting in the company's failure. Other services that have been recently released manage to show that we can be accepting of old ideas as long as they bring something new to the table, such as Disney Plus and its plethora of new content. Overall, the many streaming services that have been introduced have all managed to bring out certain qualities with Generation Z. While early starters like Netflix made us realize that we can appreciate creative innovation, Blockbuster showed us that failure to present us with anything new brings out a lesser side of us. And newcomers like Disney Plus reminded us that we can appreciate old ideas if they succeed in giving us something new to connect with. Now, these past few podcasts have really opened my eyes to how influential streaming services have been in the lives of Generation Z, and I really look forward to seeing what new steps the streaming industry will take in the future. Until next time, I'm Tim Rose, and thank you for listening to the final episode of Gen Z General Talk. I'll catch you later.